What? We're here. I was putting that up so that we could.
And it's episode 59. And do you know that on the Stormcrow page, it has your name chopped off? It says by the amazing Mark A. Pot.
No. No, I didn't.
So I would fix that. They got to know who Nightwing is, man.
I'll let you know who I am.
I still don't see it yet, though. And then at the end of the show, can you fix the episode 59?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now.
I don't see us live yet. Did you put it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not showing up.
We're live right now.
Oh, dang. Okay, I got it. All right, sorry, guys. I was looking at the wrong page. I have too many pages. Share. All right, there you go. Okay, guys, welcome. Episode 59, Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. I don't think you can see it, but that's our Stormcrow shirt. This is Lola, the beautiful Lola. Mark Potter's having migraines, so he can't. He doesn't want to have the video on because of the lights. So he's going to be the ghost in the machine without the breasts or cybernetics. And then my name is JD Glasscock. We have an amazing show. We've been doing this now for over 4 years, I believe. I think we were trying to figure it out earlier. 59 episodes at one a month. I don't know. You guys figure it out. So maybe even coming up on 5 years. I'm not sure, but a long time. We were the first to do it. Let me tell you that. Would you say that was true, Mark, that there was no one really else doing it when we started?
Yeah. It was. I think July is going to be our 5th year anniversary.
Very cool. Hey, turn your mic up a little bit, though. It's a little low. We have a great show for you tonight. 2 more LitRPG authors. We have I've actually booked out next month as well, which will have some also amazing authors as well. KT Hanna and Troy Osgood next month. So it's going to be amazing. After that, the following month, we're going to do an all harem LitRPG authors, and it's going to be wow, siding, erotica in LitRPG form. But anyway, tonight we have some great authors, so let's get to it. Mark, who do you want to bring in first?
Let's go ahead and bring Alex Kozlowski.
All right, this guy's got a catalog of books. Amazing veteran LitRPG author, amazing guy, Alex Kozlowski. Hey, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
And then joining him with his debut LitRPG novel and novel period, but he's been in part of the LitRPG group for a long time. He's one of the moderators on one of the bigger LitRPG Facebook groups out there, LitRPG Books. So give a hand up for Sean Hall.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean, were you part of GuildifyCon? Because literally, I recognize your face.
No, not really. I am, active in the community. Usually see me chatting in the various ones, but I didn't do anything on GuildCon this year. Looking into if they continue it for this year, I might try to get into that.
Yeah, I just talked to Geneva. You should be able to.
Yeah, I talked to her.
I think their plan was to expand it tremendously.
Yeah.
So that should be a doable feat.
Oh yeah, I know they want to expand. I know they always need help with volunteers and moderators for the various groups that they got going, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they got planned for this year.
It is, and it's really, even though this will be its fourth year, something like that. It is the only original all LitRPG con that I know of. I think all the rest of them have maybe LitRPG as a part of it, but like Dragon Con and stuff like that. But I think that it's the only one that's all focused on LitRPG.
Yeah, one I'm aware of, and I know Dragon Con, a lot of the lit authors like to go to that one. So
and the Vegas one, I forget what it's called. Something
20 books.
What is it?
Yeah, 20 books.
20 books.
Yep.
See, I got excited. I thought it was 40 books.
That's not a fan one. It's a author one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the fan one is.
Dragon
well,
Con,
let's get going on this. I'm going to start off with Alex. Alex, what is in the last 2 years? What is a project that you did that you were very happy with and you thought it just kicked ass?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I'm the sort of author that I write something. I'm like, is it good? I don't know. It's a mystery to me. But I tend to look at the ratings, and I shouldn't. But I judge myself on the ratings. I'm happy with all my work. So
I don't know. There's a lot of hate, dude. There's a lot. What I've noticed since I've been in this business, there's a lot of haters for no other reason that they're wanting to hate.
Yeah, you're always going to. Every single book I've launched, I think I've got a 1 star in the first 4 or 5 reviews that have gone up on Amazon. That's okay.
Yeah, there is that one guy. I forget his name, but he's like renowned for going to hit all LitRPG books with like some shitty ass rating.
If you don't like the genre so much, stop reading it. Stop giving the 1 stars. But
hey, dude, I had a guy that I think once said it was like 2 paragraphs on the review, and like 3/4 of it was how horrible it was, and then the last line was, "I'm gonna read the next book and hopefully it'll change." I'm like, dude, you just literally thrashed the entire book, and yet you end with, "You're gonna read the next book."
Yeah, the one guy you're talking of, I've seen his where he'll like, "Oh, this book is horrible. I'm not picking up the next one." And then the next one has a 1 star review going, "Oh, this book was horrible. I'm not picking up the next one." And he'll do that like all through the series. And you're like, what? You're just kind of trolling.
But if you're mediocre for long enough, he drops off. Guaranteed. By the 5th or 6th book.
I think if you just keep producing books, sooner or later you're going to probably be able to eke a living out writing. It might be like 30 books in, but
I think it's important to have a mindset of always improving.
Yeah.
So all my newer work is far better than my original work. So when I started writing Alpha Physics, it was literally because I was unemployed due to COVID. I'd quit my job and then had my boss get his budget cut straight after. He was supposed to take me from a temporary role to a permanent role. Instead of that happening, I got kicked out totally, which was fine. I didn't mind too much. Set up a couple of new roles to go into. COVID hits, both of them disappear. And then after six months of being unemployed, I just started writing for mental health. And the Royal Road people encouraged me to publish. I asked a few authors where I could actually make money doing this. And I put it up expecting not to get anywhere, and it went from there.
Hey, Mark, remember to pay attention to chat because you're the only one that can actually chat with them. I think it says sending messages is only supported for the host. So UPOG, whatever that is, I see you. Appreciate the muscle. But anyway, but what is one book that you thought either, if you want to go by your criteria, they had great reviews and everyone seemed to dig it?
So they've all been well accepted. But the one that I liked the most directly after writing, and I'm telling my wife, oh, this is a great book. It's going to break out. It's amazing. Worst book I've written, apparently, according to the reviews. And then Broken Interface, which was the second series I released, got absolutely hammered on Royal Road. It was a book as opposed to serials. So you put on Royal Road, it's all about serial writing, but this was set up primarily as a book format and didn't work on Royal Road at all and got absolutely hammered. And I was amazed at the ratings that ended up with. I was expecting it to be terrible, and it ended up being quite a solid book, which is good. So I'll nominate Broken Interface Book 1.
See, I've still continued to write. I just finished book 4. I've still continued to write them all on Royal Road. I just take them all down when I'm ready to publish. But I hear you. There are some cool people and great support you can find on Royal Road, I think. There's also, just like Amazon, some hacks that are going to like trash your book.
Absolutely. Oh, yep. I get a lot out of Royal Road. The latest book that I published last week, it's all my patrons, so my super fans absolutely loved it. And then it hits Amazon, so I didn't go through Royal Road, and all these people are complaining about a slow start, which hit me completely by surprise because my super fans are like, oh, this is so great, this is going to go amazing. It's going pretty well, but it's people either love it or hate it.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we'll
it's
see how
just,
that one goes.
You never know what's going to hit, man. I mean, seriously. And then what I have learned is sometimes, I like you mentioned earlier, I think writing has got to be a constant learning lesson. It's got to be constantly improving and figuring it out. Because I also learned in writing the first stuff is that you are somewhat hemmed in by the world you create. So whatever storyline you start with,
can't you just kill everyone and reset?
Huh?
No, don't do that.
Game of Thrones?
Pardon?
That's like Game of Thrones. I mean, he pretty much wiped everybody out.
That sort of thing.
Well, you can, but what I'm saying is, like, if you introduce city building right in the beginning, that's going to put some limitations on where you can go in a sense, because that's what I mean by that is whatever world you crafted and threw your MC in the middle of, unless it's a solo book where your MC's a loner, kind of like Primal Hunter, where that guy is mainly by himself almost the entire time, soloing everything. Then you can kind of do what you want. But if you introduce like supporting characters in a cast and you start off with a city builder, or you start off with a whatever it is, that's what the only thing I was saying is I've learned that you have to be careful on how you craft your world, and because those limitations might be good and positive, but sometimes you'll find yourself hemmed in a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I try to make my systems as flexible as possible to allow me to deviate in unexpected directions later on. And if you're doing a system apocalypse, which is generally what I'm doing, where a LitRPG system comes to work, you've got a lot more flexibility, because at the start you've only explained the first 10 levels in the book 1, and then you can go do extra stuff in the subsequent books without getting into trouble.
Very cool. Okay, so Sean, let's drop over to you. Since you only have the one book, we'll use that here. And so in the last 2 years, how did you feel about working on your first book? And then how have your feelings been about after it's come out?
You know, I love this genre. I've been pretty involved throughout the growth of it, right? I started off, I read one, really enjoyed it. Started getting into more of them, like a lot of Dakota Kraut's books, The Divine Dungeon. And
I haven't read that one. I read The Completionist, but yeah.
Yeah, so Divine Dungeon is kind of like the prequel to Completionist. There's a lot of tie-ins between the two. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I started getting into the lit RPG world, and
it's hard to get out of once you're in it, man.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of hard to go back to like just regular fantasy or something like that nowadays.
Pretty
I
boring,
know, because I feel bad. I had all these authors I read like religiously, and then I got into LitRPG, and I haven't been back to read any of those authors. I'm right there with you. I mean, the only one I think I've gone back is the Spellmonger series, you know. But otherwise, it's been lit art all the way. And it's funny because as I was reading everything, I was starting to notice errors and whatnot. So I'd like reach out to the authors, thinking, nothing's really going to come out of this. But you know, what's really amazing about this community and the genre is how tight knit it is, how approachable the authors are. I mean, there is just constant communication with the authors where like, I don't think you could go anywhere and talk to like R.A. Salvatore or, you know, Martin, if you like his stuff, or any of them, you know, where you could just hop into a Facebook group. Because traditional publishers don't rely on social media to push their stuff. They have like the publisher takes care of all the marketing. So they didn't get brought up in being forced to interact in a social media platform for sales of their books. You know what I mean? So
so it's been kind of interesting because I started seeing these errors. I would send them in, and then I started getting hit up by some of the authors and say, hey, well, my next book's about to come out. Do you want to like beta find stuff before I release it? And so that's really my main thing in this genre was I started beta reading for a lot of the authors out there, for a couple of publishers and things of that nature, you know, and reading as much as I do, I was like, you know what, I gotta make my own story. And one of the genres I really love is the apocalypse. I don't want to say the other word first because I know that's been.
You're worried about Tao?
No, Tao's really a great guy.
Cool guy.
He
the
did
only
some
thing
great
he had
marketing
issues with,
with
I
the
think,
system.
was people using it directly in their title, man. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, but he did a great job with the marketing and making it such a word that it's like, you know, it's a descriptor almost of the genre. But at the same time, I respect.
I would say just don't use it in your title, man, and you should be fine.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm not going to put in my title or anything like that, but I love the genre itself. And so I read a lot of it, and the common thread for the genre or that subgenre here is that it's aliens pretty much doing it to humans, or the system's coming to the humans. And I thought I'd put
True, although you're doing it in a fantasy setting, so that's a different take on it.
Yeah. And I did a twist on the trope. So instead of it being apocalypse happening to the humans, I reversed it. And so now the main character is a goblin, and the humans.
And you have it in a fantasy, technological, medieval or Middle Ages setting.
Yeah, it's in a fantasy setting on an alien planet, and the humans are doing this all through nanotech. Right. So
yeah, I found that interesting that you had the humans be the aliens, but yeah.
Yeah, I kind of turned it into like Gladiator meets Hunger Games in a sense, because it's like humans are all about like violent entertainment. You know, you look throughout our history and you had the gladiators, or you watch some of our movies, even like Hunger Games, and I could see stuff like that happening with our race. So it's like, for me, it was an easy twist to be like, yeah, they're doing it to a whole planet. And so now we're looking at the Goblin's point of view. And it's funny because I got knocked for that on one of my reviews. Someone's all like, "Oh, I hate it how you're making humans evil," and I'm like, "No, I'm just using human nature." You saw that one?
Yeah, because there aren't
Yeah,
evil
I saw
humans.
Yeah, humans are evil, and I'm like, have you seen our nature? I mean, this is really basic human nature in a lot of senses to watch. It's like you cannot turn away from a train wreck. People have to watch it. Driving down the highway, there's an accident.
Today,
You got all those
USP
rubberneckers.
is huge.
Yeah.
Because people like watching other people beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, thinking, I'm glad that's not me. So I decided to go do a different twist to it. And I know writing a monster MC kind of puts me at a disadvantage because a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't like the monster as
I don't know. There's
character.
been some very
It's a subgenre.
popular series. The one
there are
that,
some
the other
out
one
there.
that's the Goblin. What's the other one that's the Goblin?
Life Reset or Human.
Life Reset. Yeah, there's sense.
Yeah, there you go. Life Reset. That one is pretty popular. I
Yeah.
read the entire first series. I haven't read. I tried to start reading that spin-off he did, and I couldn't really get into it. But
yeah, well, I mean, and there are some good ones because you're always going to find a few good ones. But if you look out in through all the monster MCs, it is kind of a hole to dig out, and you see a lot of comments where people aren't like necessarily interested in that. But
I just think it depends on how you did it. I enjoyed your book. I think I gave you a review on it.
Yeah, it's good.
I appreciate it. And I just wanted to write something that I thought would be different enough on it, and that's the route I went. And yeah, so my first book came out February 1st. So I'm a couple months in, and it's exciting and stressful, right? When you first release that book, you're like, awesome, I got it out, and now it's like, okay, now what's everyone else going to think of it?
It doesn't change. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. It's exactly the same, exciting and stressful and distracting.
Yeah. So, and people tell me that all the time. They're like, yeah, that never goes away when you release any book.
It doesn't, because and especially like almost any author, you probably want to either already have or want to get to the point where you can just write for a living. And so literally every book you put out, even if you're successful, you got to sustain that success if you want to keep making a living at it. So every book you put out, you want to make sure it's at least sustaining whatever you've already established. Yeah.
So on this particular series, I've planned out for a trilogy. I did get audio is in the works. Podium is actually going to produce the audio with Luke Daniels narrating.
I think all that networking you did before you wrote your first book, I think has done you well.
Yeah,
because you're getting a lot of support that beginning author that didn't do all that foundational connections would have got.
And that's kind of what Podium's reasoning was when I talked with them. They're like, yeah, you're a presence in the genre. I'm known, but not as an author. So because I don't have, usually they like to look at the sales or they like to see the followers and that kind of deal for their predictions, of how well a series is going to do. And so they decided to give me a chance.
Name recognition and recognition, really.
Yeah, and I have a presence in the genre. Like you said, I'm a mod of like the largest LitRPG page on LitRPG Books. And, I'm not unapproachable or anything. I try to chat. I don't try to do recommendations anymore so much in there because I don't want to show favoritism, but I'll jump in the other groups and chat in those too. And,
I do those every once in a while. I think it's important for authors to do that and give shout outs to people other than the biggest authors there are.
It's really hard to identify those smaller books because they are usually big for a very good reason. Because they are excellent books.
Yeah, and
I just did that for recommendation. David North, we were talking about it earlier, Alex and me. David North's Guardian of Astral Falls and Ripple System.
But he's a big author,
I'm sorry?
He's getting better.
David North's a big author. I wouldn't describe him. He's big.
He is because of that series, but he's not as talked to. I mean, he's not mentioned as anywhere near as much as Primal Hunter and He Who Fights with Monsters and you know what I mean? Like that's usually those are the ones that are usually get like mentioned like literally nonstop.
Yeah, and you know again, the community is super great because even my book came out, right? So like Podium set up the deal. I got Luke Daniels narrating. That actually, because it's Luke, it's going to take a little while. So that's coming out in August 22. My goal is to have book 2 out same day, so I can maybe do a dual release of audio book 1 and have book 2, right? But the community has been so great because I'm like, hey, I'm coming out with this book, and a lot of
how would you do that though? Because like me, I can't. Well, maybe it's because I use ACX, so I can't even send the book to the narrator until it's up on Amazon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how they do that on their side.
Publishers can do it. No problems.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a workaround on that one, and it wasn't nothing I'm familiar with, but it's been great because of the community love and support and how close this group is. So when I came out,
very beautiful, man. It's the whole reason we started. Me and Mark started the show, whether it be filmmakers back then or LitRPG authors now, is to provide people a little spotlight to maybe make some new fans, to maybe meet each other. You know what I mean? I think one of the best things we've had come off this show is people that were guests that were on the show. So many of them have become friends or helped each other out or supported each other in their work. And whether that has been in film or authors. So I hear you. It's good to help support and stuff like that.
Yeah, and on day one it came out. A lot of the authors helped push it. You know, I saw a couple people threw it in as their story, like Wolf Locke. He's been great on it. Dave Wilmarth even did a shout out and stuff like that. And it's great just to see that kind of love and support from the community, just trying to help each other out. You know, it's not like you were mentioning before. This isn't the film industry where they're trying to like, oh, you're all competition. No, we're all like, hey, there's enough love to go around, and people who might like Alex's book might like my book, who might like Tao's book, you know, and we have no point or no problem pointing people to other.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I mean, like I said, film industry is very cutthroat and very very supportive of each other, even if they verbally act like they're supportive as far as actual action, but to support, there's none of that. So, I mean, although there are beautiful people in film, but I've noticed in this, like when I first started, Phoenix Gray and Geneva and Don Chapman, they were immediately giving me advice and helping. And
and for those aspiring authors or even, you know, people who've been around, the LitRPG Authors Guild is also a great resource. You go on there and you can throw in just the stupidest question you can think of for an author, you know, and people will answer it. They're not going to hate on you about it. You know, they're going to be like, hey, this is what you need to do, you know, and they give great advice, you know. Don was a great one who helped me out. Rhett from Atheon Books, Marcus Sloss, who I know you're talking about Harem Lit. He's got a lot in that genre.
Yeah, in 2 months, we're going to be doing the first Harem Lit episode. It should be interesting.
Yeah. So, and Marcus has been a great help, him and Jess, his wife. So it's like, it's been great because there's just so many people that it's like hard to name everybody who's like just been so helpful in giving advice and things like that. I mean, one of the big things is like the cover. It changed just a little bit almost from the get-go. Like I threw out my cover and I got some feedback that, you know, hey, it's a little too dark and maybe you shouldn't put your name at the top, that kind of deal. And so taking that advice, I went in and got it adjusted just a little bit, you know, but it is different. And
I heard Mark was in the running in his yellow summer dress for your cover, and he just lost out at the last second to the Goblin.
Yep, sorry, Mark. You know, and then Michael Head threw in some pictures that he tried to get in there as well, and I said no, sorry. You know, but it's a great community. I'm so glad to not just be a mod or like a reader or even a beta reader, but to actually be an author as well. It's been amazing. So
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. I was like, as soon as I saw that you were coming out with one, I think I immediately responded to you and said I'll get it when it comes out, which I did. Read
Yep.
it through your review, but I mean that's where all the work you put in, I think, is giving you a leg up on a lot of other beginning authors because everybody knew
Groundwork,
you
man.
for all the attributes you've already mentioned, all the help you selflessly gave to all the established authors, and being a moderator of that, and then always being cordial to everybody. Helped, I think, is done a tremendous job in helping you as far as your book, and I'm assuming it also worked out to help in sales as well. But
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I can't say enough how much I like this group and how much they've been such a blessing and help to get me pointed in the right direction and going,
yeah, just be careful of Phoenix Gray's sexy game. You get kind of lost in it, man.
Hey, man, her Kickstarter killed it for that loot
She
dungeon.
did, yes. But
And
Phoenix
now
kind of
there's
kills it
got a
whenever
second one coming up.
remember, Phoenix, I think, started off as an erotica author, so she literally and she killed it as an erotica author under a different name, I think. And then she got sick of writing erotica, so then went to LitRPG.
Yeah, and she has a complete series there. Now she's back into making the games. I mean, she had a killer Kickstarter, and then she has a new one coming up, I think, for a sequel to her original Kickstarter. So
I don't know. I think I keep telling her I think she needs to add a little glass cock to her writing on her game, but you know what I mean. But that's
when you say that, you should see David Petrie's signature, because when he signs a book, it looks like he writes a penis in there due to the DP. It's hilarious.
I think the funniest part is when I first got into this genre, like every other film industry, whatever, every other thing I've tried music when I was younger. Everyone thinks it's a fake fucking name, and it's like, dude, seriously.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, no, unfortunately, I had a Scottish ancestor that thought that was a great name for a fucking clan, but
Could be worse, right?
no. But anyway, let's jump over back to Alex. Alex, what is something currently that you are working on that you are amped about and excited about?
So, this hasn't been announced at all. I've got a story up on Royal Road at the moment, and then I decided, well, I'm going to create audio for it directly, but I'm doing it through AI narration. So,
wait, you're using an AI to narrate?
Yeah, I'm using an AI to narrate the whole thing, full audio cast. So it's going to be, you've got a female voice, I get a female voice to do it. Next female character gets a different female voice, etc. So the process. So I went in complicated process. I went and checked 4 or 5 different audio AI places and selected the best, and now I'm producing it. It's a pain in the butt. It takes for every hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has to be like literally micromanaging like a motherfucker.
It takes me about 4 or 5 hours to produce every hour of audio. So it takes the time, but it's really good. I can already see the improvement to my dialogue writing that's coming out of it. I was a little bit too rigid, which I sort of knew, but hearing it back through the audio and actually producing it, you can really see it. And the other fun thing about doing it myself, if a section of writing isn't working, I just rewrite it when I'm producing the audio. I'm going to funnel that back into the ebook, and so the entire story is going to improve. I've actually learned a surprisingly large amount. So the idea is to put it as a podcast on all the different podcast apps, and then see if I can launch.
Oh, kind of like that one group does.
Launch a model the same as the Royal Road model, effectively, where you have the free stuff funneling people into early access chapters, but do it for audio and see if that market's there. It might not be. The direct cost to me is not too much. It's just a lot of time.
I know Steve Campbell does his audio, his narrating live, I think. When he's recording people's books, he has like an actual live on I don't know, his Discord or something like that. Live audio, live I don't know if it's video or not, We had him as a guest a few episodes back.
Yeah.
Or last
A couple
episode. Was it
people
last
doing that
episode, Mark?
recently.
Mark,
Yeah,
did you
so
do the
that's-
thing I asked you not to and sneak off while you have no video on?
No, I'm here. No, I'm here. I just couldn't hear what you said.
Was that Steve Campbell? Was that last episode?
I think there's a couple narrators that
yes,
are starting to
Steve
do that
Campbell
one
and
now.
Charles Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Charles. Yeah, Charles and Steve. It was interesting. But yeah, so you're going to be doing you're going to be doing something similar to that as far as podcasts?
I'm just going to be creating a daily podcast show, effectively, 5 days a week. Each day there's a 15 to 25-minute episode that people pick up and listen to a chapter, and then hopefully build the habit of every day they listen to the chapter, just the same as every day certain stories are published on Royal Road.
That's a
I'll read
big
them.
commitment on your side. I'm sure that can't be easy to try to churn it out like that.
It's an hour a day sort of thing, and convert it. And then if it works, it works. Or if it doesn't work, it's
Well,
I'll
just
be
give
sad,
yourself
but-
enough time to establish it. It's not, if it comes out of the gates, powerful, great. But also, if it doesn't,
it's not
give it a
going to
little
come
time.
out. I don't expect to get any real volume till I've got 10 hours loaded for free. And I won't be launching till there's over 10 hours set up in Patreon, and then get to the point where I'll be producing an hour a day after that. 10 hours.
See, I
in
wish I had
Patreon,
that
21
patience. Even when I did Royal Road, I was just writing as I went, as opposed to what everyone says, which is literally have all this backlog and.
I did the same with my story. In the end, when I launched it, I had enough for the initial burst of chapters, and I had nothing for Patreon. It took me about 5 months with my latest story to get up to 20 chapters head on Patreon. So yes, I do the same. You get excited and you want.
Yeah, I'm
people
just
to
very
share
ADD,
and
man.
launch.
I literally just want to keep it rolling,
I do the same. But this time I'm going to force myself to. I've got 10 hours of audio waiting there. And then we'll have a look. The quality is extraordinary. Like, at one point, I was talking about someone's laughing or snickering, and I put an actual snicker into the language. I didn't have anything to specify in the program to say, put in a snicker here. It just automatically put the little sound in all by itself. And
So you're
why
saying it's a smart little bugger.
it also gets things wrong. Occasionally, like, my story's got tier. So it mentions tier, 50 times a chapter because
Is that an Australian
different-
accent I'm hearing?
maybe. But I kept saying tire instead of tier in the audio. So every now and again I have to rerun a line 5 or 6 times so it bloody well say tier properly instead of saying tire.
I was
So
just telling
occasionally it gets things wrong.
telling some other people that more LitRPG authors should advertise in the Australian Amazon because the Australians seem to love the shit out of LitRPG.
Oh, absolutely. I get Australia and Canada. I get my.
Do you know that a lot
sales twice as
of
good as
LitRPG authors don't even know you can do that?
advertise in Australia.
That you can advertise in the different Amazons?
Yeah, I never got Amazon ads working. I never got a positive return from them. I don't know what I was doing wrong. It just.
Oh, I
Couldn't
actually
sell it.
get it pretty good because a lot of them, even though they're eliciting sales, not all of them you get charged for because I'm not sure why it works that way, but I know that it's coming from the advertising, even though I'm not getting hit for every sale I'm getting or keep Kindle Unlimited. I think is if they click on the click,
If they
But
click
then-
on the sponsored ad,
but then
a lot
but go somewhere else and then come
Yeah.
back, it
I
doesn't
didn't
count
see any-
as a actual
True.
ad sale, even though it did lead to a sale.
But I didn't see any pickup in sales. So when I was looking at it, I'd be
Might be a
investing
keyword.
20. I don't know. It didn't work. I would invest $20 and I wouldn't see a $20 pickup in the sales. I wouldn't even see any sort of pickup.
yeah,
While Facebook, on the other hand, I can
I
get.
can't figure out how to use Facebook, man. All I can figure out is it tries to shove people at my page, and not
My
just.
wife does it. I don't know either.
Gotta ask
I
Alex.
gave that off to her to do.
Facebook ads.
Sorry.
So gotta ask your wife then how to do the Facebook ads.
Yeah, your Facebook, your wife does it, because I literally was trying, and the only thing I could accomplish was an ad that just pushes people at the
Like a
page,
boost of
as opposed to actually just directly sending them to the book.
My Facebook ads, you can clearly send it directly to the book because I can see the ad, and if you click on it, you go through to the Amazon sales page.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. Every time I was trying to do it, it was just literally like an ad to send people to the book page on my Facebook, and I was like, man, I don't want that. I don't want.
Yeah, it's more like a booster post where they send it to you.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to spend money on that. I don't really.
Yeah.
So it just seems convoluted. You have to figure it out or whatever. There's like tech involved.
You can do it, and they do work. I don't know for a single book series whether it would work, but for a multiple book series, it does. So I'm just making money on my book one.
And you do KU, right?
Sorry?
You do KU as well? Kindle Unlimited?
Yeah, I do KU, but what I do, I turn it off for a month or so, and then I turn it back on and make sure that the daily sales of the book one increases by the same amount I'm spending on the Facebook ads. And it does, just. But you wouldn't advertise for book one because it's a 6-book series. It's got a very good return on investment.
I think I need to get Geneva to do a because she does that shit. I need to get her to do a video blog showing everyone how to create Facebook ads.
No.
I'm telling you, put it in a LitRPG group, and I guarantee you that thing would get thousands of hits. But anyway, Sean, so currently, what are you? I'm assuming it's book 2 of your series. What are you working on? What's exciting about it? Maybe some spoiler, not spoilers, or what you're enjoying about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, working on book 2 currently. Definitely want to have it all.
Marcus also wants to throw his hand in on the poster, the cover, because since he missed out on the first one.
Oh yeah, him in a yellow dress again, running around.
Yeah, we can make it though more of a kaleidoscope of colors,
like spinning around doing flower petals in the air.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that'll work for the series, but
we can have him gobbling it up.
Yeah, have him running from the goblin while he's throwing flower petals behind him.
Goblins throwing flower petals.
Yeah.
There you go.
Little princess outfit.
Yeah, so I'm working on book 2, and what to say without giving too much away. There are going to be some of your normal tropes, things like that. I
don't think you can create LitRPG that doesn't have some tropes.
Yeah. That'd be a little hard. That would probably be a very interesting book if you can't hit a trope. So he will there'll be some challenges he's going to experience right away in the book as he's fleeing where he's currently at. And then we're going to see a bit of a change from Lauren in regards to what his goals were. Because when he starts off the goal, just kind of wanting to see the world, right? Then
his family.
Well, yeah. First, he wants to see the world, is what he's talking about. Then the apocalypse happens, right? And now it's let's save my family, and then, which he's working towards, right, in book 1.
And then there's always some evil bastard that's trying to manipulate.
Of course, always, and he doesn't necessarily get rid of all the evil bastards. He kind of teams up with at least one, and it makes things a little more interesting for, I think, book 2, because when he finally flees from where he's at, he's going to have some tragedy that's going to change his perspective of things. Not so much that becomes like a revenge story, but that he needs to work harder to save his people. Because again, being goblins, they're always looked down upon, right? Always the weakest in pretty much any game you play or whatever.
No, there's
never
another
really-
story that I was reading that was kind of not the same as yours. I don't think it's apocalyptic, but it's about a kobold. Same thing. Kobold and goblins are both kind of the piss ants of fantasy settings.
Yeah. So in book 2, he's gonna show people how wrong they are to be looking down on the goblins as he works towards his new goals of kind of stopping the whole shebang. So
very cool, man, and it's exciting to get. I know when I was on to when book 1 was out and I started into book 2, there was a feeling of accomplishment that I'm actually like, I'm on the way to having more than just one fucking thing sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a short story in the legendary LitRPG anthology.
Yeah, I saw that on your page, I think.
Yeah, that was kind of my first foray into that, working with Marcus again on that one, and a bunch of great authors there. And, and I had another series that I started a couple of years ago, and I just kind of hit a wall with it. Didn't know really where to go, so I kind of stopped. And I'm sure that's the story for most authors, right? They start all these projects and then just kind of, whatever reason, stop and then pick up a new project, right? And so thankfully I was able to.
I did do that. I threw years and years and years ago, while I was working on film, I started a novel, never finished it, even outlined a whole like fucking 12-book series or whatever. Although what I ended up doing when I'm doing all this is I threw what I had up on Vela.
Yeah.
Of that series. I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but I just wanted to put it somewhere. So I threw like the whatever 4 or 5 chapters I had up on Vela.
Yeah. And I'm sure Alex has even got some projects he started that just kind of like stopped for whatever reason.
Not in my current writing life. So I wrote as a teenager and early adult. So I got a girlfriend and married effectively, and then I gave up writing shortly after. But in that, well, once relationship got serious. So those series will never see the light of day. But I always finish the books. I had 4 or 5 novels finished. A couple of
you just put it under a different name, like Layla Goodwad.
Yeah, I could. But no, they were pretty crappy. So there was 4 or 5 books finished. I didn't write any of the book 2s back then. So far, I stop a lot further than most people.
I mean, you're pretty prolific. I mean, how many books do you have, Alex?
10, I think. I don't know. I write about. I try to write about 100,000 words a month. So a million or so.
100,000 words a month.
A million words a year, thereabouts. And I've only been going for a couple of years.
I mean, only what's his name? David Burke.
Sean Oswald with his
that guy.
2 million a month. 2 million a year for him. Or close to
he churns them out like a beast, and then the Necromancer, Cowboy Necromancer.
Yeah. Oh, Harmon Cooper.
Yeah, that guy literally
Cooper put that.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it gets crazy watching some of those writers, and it's funny because. So I have the short story. I have this. That's my first novel, and I actually even have a child's. I wrote a kid's book too for I have 4 kids, and my little girl, when she turned 5 last June, I wrote a children's book for her. But I don't really count that one because it's just a small little book. But
I mean, I put out like maybe 35K a month, but I work like 3 normal jobs, and even though if I was able to just do writing, it would still only be maybe 50, 60K a month. I don't know if I could do the 100K a month. I built up
over time. So initially 2,000 words was difficult. Now if I'm doing writing, I can easily do a 5,000 a day.
I think it's just habit.
I had to do that to get this book out. I literally in like a 4-day period had to average about 3,500 4K a day to finish it and get it in on the deadline. And I almost wanted to like smack my head against the wall, man. I was like, it was mentally draining to shove that much all in like that quick.
Yeah, your stamina improves over time.
Yeah,
it's quite noticeable.
Well, and I'm working normal jobs, one of which is like a very mentally, physically draining job. So I was doing it during all of that too. So I get it.
The surprisingly thing is, so I was doing a full-time job. Switching to full-time writing didn't suddenly double my output or anything. It only increased my output by 20%.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, because you're hungry. I mean, even me, I'm still trying to chump it out, even if I'm working. It's because you're hungry to want to get there, I think.
Yeah. But over time, because I now have more time to invest, the words go up. It's my words per hour is going up, and then I drop the number of hours I'm doing slightly. I'm still doing like 80 hours a week.
Your goals can help on that too, because like Tim, who commented earlier, Timothy, I know he was writing like 8,000 words a day for a while, just trying to churn out his third book in Arcane Knights. So
I've seen that multiple times now. I haven't read it yet.
It's a great series. It's one I beta read a lot of that one, books 1 and 2.
No, I almost downloaded it the other day, but I've got so many books I'm trying to get out of my Kindle Unlimited that I stop myself because I'm like, quit adding books.
You got to build that list.
I have the issue if I get a good book, my writing stops for a day or so. Yeah. So I have to actively limit myself.
Well, that's the thing is I was trying to do, man. Is like I had like literally 15 or so books sitting in Kindle Unlimited that I had to read. I'm like, dude, I cannot add any more books, man. I literally.
Well, I know Kindle Unlimited also puts you at a 10, 15 limit. I think it's 10.
Yeah, there's a limit somewhere. I don't know. I've never really counted.
20, I think.
Is it 20 now?
10.
I think it's 20 or something like that.
I know they upped it recently, and I know I'm at my cap because every time I try to add another book to it, it's like, you got to put one back. And I'm like, no, I haven't read these.
And then there are those books that unfortunately I give a shot, but I get about 20, 30 pages in and I just can't do it. And then I ixnay them out. And not to say that they're bad or anything like that, but maybe the theme or the genre or what they're trying to do is not really my style of, I'm not really into pure cultivation. Like I don't mind lit cultivation mixed. But if it's just pure cultivation, I literally, I just can't get into it.
So have you tried like Threads of Fate? Because that's a cultivation one, but I think that Michael does a really good job on that one.
No, I mean, because I read the first 3 of Seth's books, the 10 Realms or whatever. And
that's Chatfield.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chatfield. They're very, very well written, very great, but I just cannot get into just straight cultivation. I grew up Dungeons and Dragons, MMOs, RPGs. The whole reason that drew me to this genre was I want to see classes, I want to see levels, I want to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
there's nothing wrong with it. He's a great writer. Chatfield is a great writer and great storyteller. I just couldn't get into the whole straight cultivation thing.
Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good mix of it because you still had the level progression with the classes, but he also added the cultivation into it, like the body.
I don't know. The only time he talked about classes when he was talking about the other than the 2 guys, when he was talking about like the people in their little group or whatever.
Yeah, but he did have the level progression and stuff on that in that case where it was like what
they sort of abandoned it midway through, but
experience before they did anything. So
yeah, I know, but then he sort of abandoned the level content. There was much more about it.
He did, yeah. By book 3, I was like, it was pure cultivation. I mean, I read the first 3. By book 3, it was like literally pure cultivation, and I literally. It's not like it was bad. He's a great writer. I mean, and he's a cool guy. He's on my Instagram. I talk to him periodically, but I just couldn't do it. But there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just absolutely adore, and that's all they like to read is cultivation. So
yeah, and there's a lot of good cultivation books in there. So I think that's kind of why it gets tied into as a LitRPG adjacent, in a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do any cultivation in my books just because it's just not really my shtick.
Yeah, it's not your thing.
some of the great, most popular books out there are a mix of the two, like He Who Fights the Monster. All those books have some cultivation in it, you know.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 5-minute break, you guys. You've been watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers with two amazing guests, Sean and Alex, and then our Ghost and Machine, although I do have to do the caveat again of without breasts or cybernetics, Mark Potter, and then, of course, Lola. We'll take a 5-minute break, you guys, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up talking about the future plans of taking over the world by Sean and Alex. It'll give you guys time to get a drink or go to the restroom or whatever you need to do. But anyway, thank you again for watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. This is episode 59. We will be back in 5 minutes.
See you back in 5.
How does it feel to be the ghost in the machine? Or better yet, do you think it's time to let everyone know that you're Nightwing?
I don't know.
By the way, everyone, it's true. Mark Potter is Nightwing. Everyone thought it was Dick Grayson. It's not. It's Mark Potter. Anyway, you guys, let's pick up where we left off. This time we'll start with Sean. In the next 2 years, what are your plans? What I'm assuming is to at least finish the trilogy. And then do you have any idea of another series you want to start?
Yeah, so definitely finishing out the trilogy, obviously getting the audio out for that one. And then I do have ideas for a new series. So I'm kind of fleshing that one out, but I think it's going to fall along the lines of like almost like a Tower and Apocalypse. So kind of working through the thoughts on that one.
I just read one of those that was pretty good. I'm trying to remember what it was.
A couple good ones out there.
That was a fun.
I still have a Carl one I still have not read.
The Dungeon Crawler Carl, that one's more of a dungeon one.
The Awakening by Purdy.
Who?
Shane Purdy. The Awakening.
Yeah, that's good. The Rise of the Winter Wolf is a series.
Yeah, it was good. I just read the newest one that just came out for it. It was good. The Wolf.
Tanner's got a good Tower series too.
I don't know. I still think of it as a Tower series, even if it's called Dungeon. If it's literally the whole story is about them going level 1 dungeon, level 20, level 100, level. All they're doing is calling it a dungeon instead of a tower, but they're descending instead of ascending. But it's still the same concept, I think.
Exactly
yeah, pretty much. I know that people like to call them dungeon crawlers instead, compared to the tower climbers, which is. I mean, there's really no difference other than, they're going up instead of down. But yeah, there's a lot of good tower ones out there. So I have an idea for one.
And I know the new toy gets exciting because I have a new series that I'm going to start. And I had to force myself, because my first series is going to be a 9-book. This new one's going to be 6. I had to force myself to commit to starting book 5 and writing book 5 before starting the new series, which was tough because I really, really, really wanted to just start digging in.
Don't you want to tick everyone off by starting a new series in the middle of a current one?
Oh, come on, man. Like most of these authors have 2 or 3 series rolling all at once, man. Yeah, I mean, most of them
going right now?
Jez has me and a bunch of people were giving him a bunch of shit for the last 6 months to go back to working on the Mankind one, because he literally, which he finally did, the Age of Iron just finally popped out or whatever. No, most of them have. I mean, in fact, I would say almost all of them have multiple series rolling at one time. But it is good. And when you start, though, and I agree with you, I think it's good when you're beginning author to at least get at least 3-4 of your first series, or however long it is, out before jumping into a new series. But yeah, no, and then I'll just do what most of them do. I'm going to do book 1 of that new series, then come back and do book 6 of the first series, and then alternate. But I hear you, and that's cool. Is it going to be fantasy, or what is it going to be?
Yeah, it's still going to be in the lit genre, of course. It'll be, so the plan is to be a tower, but happening across the current world, right? So towers will appear, that kind of deal. So I, like I said, still kind of fleshing about how I want to do it. That's going to be different, because it's almost kind of hard sometimes to find something that's a little different that not everyone else has done in so many different ways, right? Like how many dungeon core books can we think of, that are very similar, but there's just few tweaks that make it a little different, that kind of deal.
Well, it
So
also
I'm
ends
just
up being a lot about your MC's class or your main person's class.
Yeah,
That usually is what throws a lot of differences in it. I mean, if your main guy's a mage, if your main guy's a melee fighter, if your main guy's a whatever it is, it throws dynamics.
Yeah, so I think I was going to have the main characters actually be siblings. There'll be 4 of them, and that kind of deal. So that was part of my
You
thought.
don't need anything different.
Huh?
If that's the core of it, you don't need anything different because you've got the dynamics between them. You can be everything very generic, and you've still got the standout
Just
points.
siblings. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that was
There
kind
aren't
of my
many
thought.
siblings out there.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
my first series has the 2 brothers and the mom and the pig, but that it has been a comment by people is that it's very rare when you see LitRPG with siblings.
Yeah, it's usually in LitRPG. They're almost like Disney movies. Everyone dies except the main character of the family. It's all like, oh, the parents died, the other kid died, so there's only the one left, and that kind of deal.
I mean, you do have is it Defiance that has the younger sister, but she's not a main character.
Yeah,
she's not a main character. She's like a supporting character.
Yeah, she's more of a supporting character. I think that, based off of the last one I read, I think she's going to have more of a role. But yeah, she is more.
But that's like book 8 in or book whatever.
Yeah, it's like book 9, I think. There's finally seeming to get more of a role in it. But yeah, so mine will focus on all 4 of them from the beginning, and I'm trying to debate on classes and things. I want to do things that are a little different. Not just the standard like archer or rogue or things like one of them.
Yeah, I really liked how David North did in Guardian Death Scrolls, and I've seen a couple people do that where they have a main class and they have a secondary class.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty common lately too. You got a first class and then you hit a certain level and then you get a second class, and I don't know if I want to necessarily go that route, but I do like if you do things repetitively enough, you'll get skills.
And there's some of them that are like so complicated. Like I literally, I would be mind boggled to try to keep up with all that.
Yeah,
just as it is, my Bible is like 89 pages long or something like that, of just like trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah. And that's
really?
The other thing. I try to keep my systems simple so that way it's not super hard to track, I don't want to have these massive spreadsheets either where it's like, okay.
I'm trying to think who was it in Guildify. One of the authors, it was a female author, I'm trying to remember her name, where she literally says she does like a 500,000 page Bible before she even starts writing the actual series. And I'm like, holy fuck, man. Like that's insane.
Yeah, well, I know.
And she literally maps out every single chapter meticulously before she ever writes the book.
Probably Don Chapman, but I know Jay Boyce in her first couple books used to have like pages of all the skills that her main character.
No, I think that's who I'm thinking of.
Jay Boyce.
Yeah, she has like these massive. I was on a panel with her. It was the only panel I did on Guildify.
She might, but I know she had a lot. She had a lot of pages, and then so people would complain. It's like, oh yeah, I just listened to 30 seconds on the audiobook of nothing but stats or all the skills.
I can't even imagine what the audio of Rand Diddley Ghost Town would sound like literally. Because there's parts of that book where like it's 5 pages, 6 pages of literal skill, all the skills that MC has.
Yep, which you just skip through on the ebook and then on the Audible.
Yeah. Well, and Jonathan Brooks did a nice little feature in a lot of his audio. Is that he would add everything as a footnote at the bottom of his book. So if you wanted the numbers, you could get them. And then when you're listening to the audio, it was its own chapter. So you could just skip the chapter if you don't want to hear all the numbers and stuff. which I think is great for the people who don't.
Yeah, because I had someone
necessarily
bitch about on one of the audibles, because there's in my series there's affinity or whatever, and the higher affinity you have, it makes all your skills stronger. And so they were like, man, you keep saying the MC is 100% affinity pure. And so the one time they were doing skills, it kept saying the pure version at the end. He goes, oh, I can't listen to pure anymore.
Yeah.
I was like laughing. I'm like, dude, you see, this is where established veteran authors, when they start writing and they're getting used to Audible, they start writing their books with Audible in mind.
Yep.
When they're
Well, and
writing
a lot
them.
of the new authors, I think, are coming in and are learning off of the mistakes of, the OGs, right?
Yeah, because I wasn't thinking of Audible when I'm writing. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, and you hear the complaints of like, oh, why do I have to hear the stats 15 times, in 3 chapters, right? So you see a lot of the authors now are like, okay, maybe they do a condensed version where it's like, physical attack changed, and that's the only thing they comment on instead of listing everything out now. Whereas originally you'll have, again, like J Boyce's perfect example is like her first book or second book had like 3 pages of all the growth and stats, and it just was a little bit much to listen to.
yeah, I mean, I don't listen to Audible. I read books, so I don't.
Yeah, I do both. So
yeah.
Audible's good to do while you're doing the dishes and stuff.
Yeah,
that's when I listen to it, and when driving.
Yeah, I drive a lot, so.
See, I've never ever listened to an Audible ever, nor probably will I. I'm just big on reading. But I don't even listen to my own Audibles, and I just have to trust that my guy knows what he's doing.
I have a similar policy. I hate listening to my own stuff.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I tried to do it. The first book I listened to the whole Audible. And then the second book I got through like 3 chapters. I'm like, dude, I cannot listen to all this shit, man.
Yeah, I do like you. I have a lot of side jobs and whatnot, and one of them is driving for Uber Eats. So I've usually got so many audio books and whatnot. So listening to them while I'm driving around.
See, I just drive really dangerously and have my phone, my Kindle's on my phone, and I'm reading and driving at the same time.
And what state are you in again?
That takes talent.
And then I look up and go, "Oh, break!"
Yeah. You're that guy, huh?
But no, very, very cool. So let's go to Alex. Alex, in the next 2 years, what is your plans? And then, hey, I'm going to give you guys a heads up. After what we finish talking to Alex about the future, to end it off, I'm going to ask each of you to name 2 series you've read in the last year that are not gigantic that you like, and we can give a little bit of love to some new authors. And they don't even have to be new authors. It could be just a series you didn't know about before.
I have to consult my phone.
Yeah, I gotta look up the Kindle now.
No, I'm the same with you. I read so many, I have to actually like go back and look at what the name of the series is again, because I'm like, wait, I know it was good, I know I liked it, but what is it again? Because I literally read so much, it baffles my brain. That's why I'm also giving you a heads up, though, you guys.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to Sean first, since we're about to talk to you, Alex, about your future. I'll go to Sean first to answer that question, and that'll give you a few minutes to look. But Alex, the next 2 years, what are some of your plans?
So I'm currently writing in 3 different universes. So my plans are going to be to finish one of those universes, which will take a while. So and my other plan.
Or you could be like James T. Callum and like interweave all of the different series into somehow belonging to each other.
That definitely won't happen. One of them is Apocalypse on Earth. One of them's pure sci-fi, and the other one is Portal.
It's called Multiverse, Alex. Multiverse.
Yeah, you could have like a Flash paradox and like have it all like wound up together.
No, my challenge over the next 2 years will be to not start a 4th universe. Till one of those is tied over. Because I've had an idea going in my head for about 6 months now that I've been pushing away. No, I will not start that. So yes, finish my existing universes and see what happens is the plan.
Hey,
So you need to
by the
complete the
way,
series.
real quick, Sean, did you see the comment from? Oh, you did see from Caitlin.
Yeah. He's being a mod, I'm constantly talking to people or getting the DMs to be like, "Hey, can I post my book?" And so it's kind of interesting to people
The
actually get it for
youngest
the
lit RPG author in the universe. Anyway, okay,
Yeah.
Alex. Okay, so the goal is to not start a fourth series,
Correct.
which is probably very difficult to do because we like the shiny new toys, and even
Absolutely.
getting done with book 4 of this series. I already found I was getting a little mental fatigue from writing the same character, same story, and stuff like that.
Writing a couple of series at the same time is good because you can do 80% of the work on one series and then do a couple of hours at the end of the day on a different series.
So I'm not going to be doing that. I'll try to finish the book.
More.
But I do think that I see now after 4 in that how excited I am about writing a new series, and I think part of that is what you're talking about, having a little change up mentally, getting off of the same characters and story.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important.
Yeah.
No, you can't cheat yet, Alex, and start looking at the who you're going to say as your 2 favorite authors. We're not done yet. So what else is the goal in the next 2 years?
Just words. Lots of words. Or to, make $1 million.
You're going to become Sean and churn it up to 2 million words a year?
No. If anything, I think I'll go the other way. I might want to focus on quality a little bit more over quantity. I think long term I'm going to want to pull back to about 800,000 words a year. So 4 big books or 5 big, very big books, but not giant.
Yeah.
See, even if I get to the point where I'm making a living, I told myself more just for my own mental whatever. But I also have the whole film thing and other things going. But doing maybe 2,000 words a day, 2,500 words a day, I think would be a good ideal for me. But I always talk to because I have one of my jobs, I work with a lot of younger people, and it doesn't matter what goals they are. I always say, set yourself realistic goals that you can actually keep up, whatever those are for you. Because I find that a lot of people, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking exercise or whatever, is a lot of people fail because they set unrealistic goals they can't keep up with, then they get depressed and then they quit.
My goal is when I started this, my target was 60,000 words a month. If I can sustain 80 or 90 or 100
a day, right? Yeah. So
if I can sustain 80, 90, 100, that's going to do better. But currently, I've got to push to, because I've got so many series ongoing. I need to.
You want to finish one?
Yeah, and so I need to do that work, and because I've got the whole Road Patron thing, that series is taking up too much of my time.
Yeah, it seems like a job, man. I cannot right now. I can't focus on Patreon. I have one. I have a Discord, but between that, the writing and 3 jobs and reading, it's like too much on the plate, man. So like literally my Patreon, I don't even pay attention to. Really, Discord, I don't really pay attention to. Maybe at some point I think I will, but people don't understand how much work it is to be an independent author.
Yep.
Yeah, and doing stupid promotional posts. Hate them.
Yeah, and on top of that, like once a week, I do a promotional post in about 30 different Facebook groups. But that alone takes me like a good hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a question of whether it's worthwhile. So whether it actually drives sales. Yeah. It's hard to see sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know if it drives sales, but what it does do is it puts your brand out there, which I think leads to driving sales, even if it's not direct or immediate. You know what I mean?
The unfortunate thing is, what gets sales is the Amazon algorithms and someone popping up who you don't know on the Facebook groups or Reddit saying, I read this book and it was great. Those are the sort of recommendations that drive sales. When an author does it for themselves, apart from announcing the book, I'm just not sure it does unless the cover's incredible.
No, but I think that, okay, so like, I don't know if it's getting me direct sales, but I think what it's done is put my name out a little more. And then I've had twice now, which has shocked me. I've found, and this is only because I saw it, maybe it's happened more, where someone was asking for suggestions on Grim Dark, and two people I didn't even know or I don't know actually linked my books. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, that's what Alex.
But I think part of that has to do with getting your brand out there. I mean, because it doesn't, you hear this more in film and music and stuff like that, but I think it's the same for authors. You're literally a brand. You are a brand.
It is true, but the people who do lots of advertising in the Facebook groups, I haven't necessarily seen those people be particularly successful on Amazon itself. So you can pretty much, for any author, look at the number of ratings they've got and estimate the amount of money or books they are selling. And I don't see that correlation between people who do have a good Facebook game and getting the sales. It helps. But
I think what it will do sometimes is get you invites to blogs, to cons, stuff along those lines, which I think will lead to sales. I still think it's worthwhile. I don't know about how often. You know what I mean? Like I say, I do it once a week, and that seems to be fine for me. There are other people that go way more hard on it than that and are doing it daily or every other day. I personally would drive myself nuts if I was trying to do it on that level, but
I mean, I could see both points of view, because my concern is that I'm oversaturating or just annoying people with constantly posting, right?
This is why I do it once a week. I think that's enough to put your promos out without like kind of irritating people.
Well, and most of the groups have limitations to once a week or something along those lines. Like I know there's LitRPG is only on Fridays, right? And then some are like Books is once every 7 days type deal. And then there's some that's like once a month, maybe twice a month type deal. And my concern
I think it's twice
having is like, am I just annoying the hell out of people that they just ignore what I'm starting to post? And I don't want to get to that point, right? But I don't.
Yeah, and I would ignore some people. I remember the other day.
I got one book.
The other day, right? Some guy said, "Quit spamming," and I'm like, bro, the last time I promoted was like 8 days ago, and then it turned out he belongs to like a ton of different Facebook groups.
So he's seeing it all over the place.
So he was getting a notification, but they were all from like different groups, and he didn't get that. And he thought I was literally posting it all in the same group, and he was getting the same notification over and over again. I'm like, dude.
And he was friends with you, so he couldn't see it.
Being in all the groups, so it's like I don't want to be like just people getting annoyed with me and that kind of deal. So I do try to change them up. Like I'll put like reviews that I've received and that kind of deal. But at the same time, my concern is like I'm going to just annoy the hell out of people, and they're going to ignore me. Period. And I don't want to get to that point.
Another thing I've noticed, and I took a page. I only started doing this just recently. I took a page from regular publisher fantasy authors, because if you look at their books, they have a bunch of quotes or reviews from other authors. And they'll say the reviewer quote from the other author, and then underneath that it says the author's name, and then it alludes to the series they've written. And so now I've made myself, and it helps the other author you're reviewing, and it helps you with the brand thing. So now when I review people's books, I put my name and then underneath author, and I think it helps them and helps you. It means they're getting a good review from an actual author, which I think looks better to the normal reader when they're reading reviews. And then two, it again amps your own brand up. So
yeah. But like to what Alex was saying earlier, I think the biggest one is when you get those random recommendations for your books. When other people besides yourself are publishing, I think that gets way more attention because now
it does. But I'm never going to nail myself into asking for any of that. But
yeah, no, and but when they do it randomly, like just out of the blue, all of a sudden someone's like, "Man, that book was so good. You know, check this one out." Like,
I think it's beautiful.
I really think that helps people out.
Especially when you get 3 or 4 of them. So Battle Mage Farmer, for example.
I just know some people that just do that as like trades, and I don't think I would ever personally do that. I would never go ask someone, "Hey, dude, can you mention and promo my book?"
I've never been offered a trade, so I don't know if it happens.
I know at Royal Road it happens quite often.
I've done review swaps on Royal Road, but that's just putting a review, and the shout outs are obvious and just part of the business. So the Royal Road shout outs, it's equivalent to $50 worth of advertising every time you do it with someone with a decent number of followers. So it's well worth organising it.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've put my name out when I've had authors say, "Hey, would anyone like a shout out?" I've done that, and I just shout out people, period, that I like.
I'm easy. If I read a book, I pretty much like it. So that's all I have to do. I do an agreement. I read the book. I like it. I can shout out with guilt free usually. And I've got a couple.
Actually, one of the first people I think when I got into the business, I started conversing with. I think
possibly.
I only started in like August or whatever. So I think you were one of the first people that I added onto Facebook and that I was actually conversing with. You, Phoenix, and Dawn. But I think Dawn helps pretty much everybody. She was like,
she's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, Dawn, I think I've seen her literally give advice to almost anybody that like asks a question or.
Yeah. And I got help when I started. I'm very happy to try to help where I can. I don't know how useful my advice is, but whenever I do, it's always as a reader, not as an author.
And even like J.R. Matthews, Dustin, he is for the success he has gotten. How humble and helpful he tries to be is insanely beautiful. I don't know if it's because he lives in Hawaii and there's a laid back attitude of pot smoking there, but and not to mention that he always is wearing a tank top and flip flops, but still, we had him on the show as well, and that guy is. I always see him trying to help people and give advice, and always open to anybody asking for advice.
Definitely. Yeah, and if you ever have like ad questions and stuff, like going into that author guild and throwing it in there, like usually you get a response from like Marcus or JR, and they got a lot of good advice. I mean, Tao does. He's kind of got a few YouTube videos in regards to it. He's got a small little book about it, and they all have great advice, and they have no qualms helping out.
I've never interacted with Tao too much, except I was on a panel with him. That was about it.
Yeah, Tao can be pretty good about helping out. Yeah, like you go into the guild, the author guild, and he's responding to a lot of this stuff, and he helps out a lot. So, that's a great place for.
No, he seems like a very nice guy. I mean, my small interactions that I have had with him.
Yeah.
So. Was going to say, except he has like almost a face that never changes. Like you can tell he was like laughing at something because like a small upturn in his lips. Then you have people like it was fun. Did you interact in the Guildify Con, you guys?
I did a session, and I did do another one where I just had to talk into the camera for half an hour with people doing comments every now and again, and that was absolutely horrific. Next time,
Was
if
that
I
an
do it, I'll
AMA?
definitely
Well, to
be
see a lot
sharing
of the
a panel.
panels evolved into them making cracks at each other. That was what.
The panels was good. The panel I did was great, but yeah, the self-promotion one where I just
Oh
talked
yeah, I
into the
didn't
camera.
like that at all,
God.
dude. I did one and I was like, oh my god, this is like so.
Next time I'll get someone in and we can just chat.
Yeah, that's a
I'll
good
share
idea.
their,
Like,
their
just get
session and
Have a
they'll share
conversation,
mine or something.
and get, go back and forth with.
Yeah,
Yep.
just to get that dynamics happening.
Yeah, I know. Like David Petrie used to do. He would play games with other authors, so they'd be like playing like Dark Souls or something like that, and he'd be chatting it up with the other author as he's getting butchered in the game or something like that. So he did that for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're to it now. Okay, Sean. What are 2 series you have read in the last year that are not the huge ones that you thought were cool?
So one of them I mentioned earlier, Arcane Knight by Tim. Who
Timothy, who is here. I've never talked to him, but that's cool.
Yeah. Great series. I really enjoyed that one. And then another one was Apocalypse.
Wait. Let's be a little bit more, Mark. Along with their links to their books that they gave you that you're going to add onto the post. Let's add whatever the series are that they're going to reference. So Timothy's last name is what?
McGowan,
and the series Arcane Knight. So try to, Mark, that's your homework. Try to go find the link to those and add it in as well. And then go ahead. What's your next one?
And the other one is Apocalypse Parenting by Aaron
Yay! I love that one too.
That one is hilarious. That one got me cracking up.
Apocalypse Parenting?
So yeah, Apocalypse Parenting. She's actually got book 2 coming out soon.
Okay, and what's the name again? The author?
Aaron Ampersand.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another piece of homework, Mark. You better not have run away and hidden while you're.
He's got book 2 coming out pretty fun soon, but man, that book got me cracking up because it's like the mom trying to survive the apocalypse with the kids, and like one of the parts is she makes a tank out of a wagon.
I know, that's awesome.
And the kids started calling it a wank, and she's all like, "No, you can't say that." And they're like, "Yay, we got a wank!" And it's like cracking up.
Wanking.
Because I'm assuming it's a toddler and they can't say the word.
Yeah, it was toddlers, and she captures the innocence of the kids so well because they don't understand that wank is not necessarily a good word, and so she's like, "No, let's go with tagging." And they're like, no, it's a wagon tank, so it's a wank, and they're like, yay, wank. So it got me cracking up, and I mean,
very cool. I'll have to check it out.
I'm so looking for.
So, Mark, remember your homework. I want to hear an affirmative of homework, Mark.
Okay. He's running away right now. That's what's going on. Can't see it.
So did you write down what they were saying?
I got Timothy McGowan. What was the other person's name?
Aaron Ampersand, I think is what it is.
Yeah, it's Apocalypse Parenting.
Apocalypse Parenting, and the other one is Arcane Knight. We've
actually got another series out, but Arcane Knight is definitely a great one.
So anyway, put those in when you go back to do the post of it, and put the links for Sean and Alex's books. Put those in it as well, and put it as like the author, our guest books, and then underneath the author's suggested series, and put those links.
Enough time to look, Alex.
Yeah, I'm trying to stretch it out for him. So Alex, what are your two?
So I'll go Mark of Crit. Yeah, try getting that one out, Mark. And that's by Think Twice, an Australian author. He's got two books out.
What's the name of the author?
One. It's the author's Think Twice.
Think Twice.
From Royal Road, but I read the first book. And I contacted the author and was like, I really want to go to Royal Road to read the second, but he convinced me to wait. But
So
that's
wait,
an awesome
the
series.
book's name is Think Twice.
No, the author's name is Think Twice.
So it's obviously a pseudonym, unless his parents really
Yeah,
didn't like him. But
correct.
yeah,
Correct. No, his name is Luis. Is his name, but
Think
pseudonym.
Twice is the author's name, and what's the name of the book one?
Mark of Project. Brijk. Don't know.
I look under Think Twice, Mark. That'll probably be easier.
But that is an awesome series.
Okay.
It starts off as a baby being reincarnated, and the other one under the same theme is only on Royal Road currently, but is the Singer, Sailor, Merchant, Mage.
Merchant Mage.
Singer, Sailor, Merchant, Mage.
Singer, Sailor, Merchant, Mage. That's almost like a song.
And I'm not, yeah, it does. And I'm not going to try to say the author because it's another pseudonym.
So that might be a little
random.
more difficult because it's Royal Road, but Singer. But Mark, you're on Royal Road, so go under Royal Road and look at Singer, Sailor, Merchant, Mage.
You'll get there.
Yeah, fine.
Makes me think of that other one. What is that? The Tinker Tailor Soldier. I can't think of the last one. What was that? There was a movie series out that had a very similar title. It was like Tinker's.
Oh, really?
Tailor
Hey, if I
Soldier.
could get away with it, I would name a book Fuckery.
Yeah, good luck getting
you
that
might
on
get away
Amazon.
with it.
Depends on how you spell it.
No, exactly like that. Fuckery.
PH.
PH.
Fuckery. Fuckery.
PHUK. There you go.
It could be all about a gnome.
No.
PH.
Because they rule.
Keri. There you go. It's a character. It's his name.
Yeah, and then my name, Fuckery by J.D. Glasscock. That would be. Yeah.
It would bring in mind certain genres. Yes.
Yeah, they would all think immediately it's harem. Yeah.
Probably.
Now make it a harem.
Yeah, dude. Even when I started the series, you can't believe how many people would ask me if I write harem because of my name. I'm like, dude, no, I'm not writing harem. And it was so funny because I spent 8 years living in LA, making a living doing stand-in and background in the film industry. And the first thing in that industry when you're working background or whatever, as soon as you get to set, you have to go get your voucher. And you have to hold on to the voucher all day long, and you put your in time, you put your lunch, then you put your out time, and you turn that voucher in at the end of the day, and that's how you get paid. And so when you go get the voucher, you say they just ask you last name because there's literally like 100 people in line to get their voucher or whatever. And every fucking time, unless it was someone I'd worked with before, I would say Glasscock, and they would act like they didn't hear me right, or they would act like I was joking, and then I would have people on set. They would think it was a fake name, and then I'm really like a porn star, like a wannabe porn star. I'm like, dude, seriously.
One of my old jobs, I used to talk to someone. Their name was BJ McWoody, and they worked at a place called the G Spot, which was a skiing store. But I'm like, okay, wait. So the store's called the G Spot, and your name's BJ McWoody. I'm like, so is this like before?
His parents really didn't like him if they named him BJ.
No, her parents didn't like her.
Like her if they named her BJ on top of McWoody.
Yeah, BJ McWoody, and she worked at the G Spot, and so
or they just had like their humor was more important than their child's mental health.
Yeah, I always thought I was calling like a porn shop until I found out it was like a ski shop where they rented out like snowboards and skis and stuff. I was like, wow.
I think I said this before. Like I would have really gone through a rebellious phase if my mom, on top of my last name, named me Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
do you have any Richards in your extended family?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's somewhere around there's a Glasscock where someone thought it was funny enough to fuck their kid's life up and name him Richard.
Oh yeah. You got people like that all the time. Talk to people like named Dusty Rhodes or Candy Cane or whatever. So,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Come on, man. You have people that name their kids Starlight and stuff like that. And You know,
Knew a guy named Money Be
Nick, I
Green.
understand you did a bunch of peyote or acid, but can you at least like come off the high like before you name your kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, you guys, it's been amazing. We have had a great hour and 40 minutes. I want to thank everyone for watching episode 59 of Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. I want to thank our beautiful guests and amazingly talented guests, Sean Hall and Alex Kozlowski. Thank you for people that are either watching it now or going to watch it in the future. It's, as always, it's permanently on our Facebook page as well as YouTube. Mark is still looking into what's that sound thing you're trying to do still? Spotify, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually we hope to have all the episodes up on Spotify. But it's been an amazing night. I wish nothing but beautiful thoughts to two amazing guys. And then maybe in 6 months or a year, we'll have you back on and see what's changed.
Sure.
But
Alex will have like 15 more books out by that point with his writing.
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully.
He's like, I'm now in strict competition with Harmon on who has the most books in LitRPG.
He's got like
I'm at
50
4
doesn't he?
million words at this rate.
But anyway, very beautiful thoughts, you guys. Thank you again for watching, and we will be back next month. Who do we have again? We have Sean Oswald, I think, and KT Hanna.
Yep.
So it should be an interesting next month, and then the following month we will have an all harem episode.
That should be interesting.
Anyway, have a beautiful night, you guys, and see you next month. Blessings.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.
All right. See ya. Bye.